What exactly is airtightness and why is it a good thing? If airtightness is not this, and it's not, then what exactly is it? Well, let's start with our building. We take a building and we insulate it. We do this to keep warm and to improve the energy efficiency and to stay comfortable in both winter and summer. And we make that airtight because that actually makes the insulation work properly. If insulation has air moving through it, then it's not really insulation. It's like standing out on a field or watching a soccer game on a cold and windy day with just a jersey or a woolen jumper on. If there's nothing to stop the wind going through the holes in that jumper, then you're going to get cold. And our houses are going to get cold if the wind is allowed to pass through or air is allowed to move through the insulation, because insulation only works by trapping air. So an airtightness layer on the inside helps to trap the air and stop it from flowing through. We also want to ventilate the space, and this is important so that we have a good supply of fresh air. And in the same way that our bodies have very specially designed holes for breathing, as in our nose and our mouth, we need specially designed holes in our house where fresh air from the outside, not from the roof space, is drawn in and it's conditioned by some of the air that is being expelled again to the outside. And this is the same as what happens in our throats, in our trachea, through our nose. The air is warmed slightly before it gets into our lungs by our body heat, which in the case of a balanced ventilation system is the air that's being extracted from the building. And this happens in a balanced way. We breathe in and we breathe out. And our houses need to breathe in and out in a balanced way, but they need to be doing it in a controlled way and through specially designed holes. And this is where the confusion often lies. If people say that buildings need to breathe, we don't breathe through our skin. We transpire in that vapor, in our case of our bodies, it's sweat, is allowed to pass through that membrane, our skin. But if you were to breathe through your skin, then you have a very serious problem, because it means you've got holes in your body. And we don't want that in our bodies, and we definitely don't want it in our buildings either. So we need to add ventilation. And we add ventilation inside the building through a ventilation system. So that's the inside, but we also ventilate the outside in this small space between our insulation layer and our cladding. And our cladding is really there just as the first line of defense for weather, rain, wind, that sort of thing. And we can never guarantee that that space is going to stay completely dry. So it's a good idea to ventilate and also allow drainage in that space. So we have ventilation and air movement on both sides of this small space in our wall. And it's really just that space that we actually want to keep airtight. Now, by virtue of doing that around the walls and the roof and the floor, we in fact have an airtight space in which we live. But it's not fully enclosed or without a fresh air supply, as we've discussed, because we're drawing in fresh air from the outside. And that is how we create an efficient, healthy, and resilient building that we can live in very comfortably and is not going to cause any damage to the structure of the building. So our building needs to be insulated, it needs to be airtight, and it needs to be ventilated. And then we have a good, healthy building.